and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and this one is actually a remodel of a recent build that I did. So I guess maybe that was last week. Oh my gosh, I'm like losing track of time. I made a 12,000 simoleon like starter A-frame home, and honestly I just felt like I could do so much more with it, so I decided to remodel it without a budget. So going back to my norm of no budget, and I kept the structure the same, but I did tweak like the top floor a little bit. I end up expanding it out so it actually is the full length of the home instead of just smaller. And then I added in missing walls that I had to leave out because of money and that I used the actual roofs for to give me some walls. And then we just kind of swap out the doors and then add in some windows. Again, since our budget was not an issue, I did end up adding a little bit more to add in a little more light. And I also added in another bathroom. So you'll have basically 1.5 bath and then quite a large bedroom actually on this top floor. And you can see I'm messing around here with the roof to see how I actually want to fit this together. I will say there was something about doing A-frame homes that just kind of caused some issues. Like they just don't like fitting together quite right, or they don't like to line up, or maybe that's just me and other people don't have this issue and I just, for whatever reason, can't seem to figure it out. But I'm in love with the way this turned out. We ended up using similar things that were in the original, but then bringing in like a blush tone in, and it looks so good. And we ended up, instead of using the ladder, we did actually get some stairs because I figured there was enough room and we had the money for it, that I wanted to use that instead. And I did do this over on Twitch, so if you ever want to come hang out or just build live with me, the link is down in the description if you want to follow me over there so you know when I am live. And it was just a lot of fun, honestly, to do this one. And I actually ended up putting in a butler's pantry, which I've never done before, I don't think. So that was kind of nice. So basically, if you don't know what that is, it's just kind of a room off of the kitchen. It kind of has all of the stuff that you don't want cluttering up your counters. Like for instance, in this one, it's extra cabinetry along with like the microwave and the coffee maker. So that's not in the main kitchen, but is off to the side. And I feel like this would be really fun to have in real life, like having a gorgeous large pantry along with a place to put your extra things so they're not cluttering up your kitchen. But that is not something I have, so maybe one day. But I brought back in those kitchen cabinets that I used in the original build, and because I really liked the way they looked and I wanted to keep them. I cannot remember if that is the same swatch I used. I feel like it might be a little bit different, and I messed around a lot with the tile backsplash and the floors trying to get it to fit. I think the kitchen was probably the hardest part of the build for me. I don't know why, but it just was. You can see again, I'm swapping out stuff so many times. I think I tried different cabinet colors as well to see if that like helped any. But we do figure it out, so don't worry. And I think it does look quite lovely actually. And I believe I lighten up the backsplash, or maybe I don't. I'm trying to remember. It's been a little while since I actually built this, so this is kind of a surprise for me as well while I'm watching it, to remind myself what I did and why I actually did it. But I did end up putting in some of those like accent like wood pieces on the wall. That is not a great descriptor. You'll see me add them in a little bit. I actually can't remember exactly when I add them, but I think it adds a lot to the back and just looks a lot nicer. And then just adding in this nice bar area and splitting it off. And I do use the space under the stairs for a nice little office. So now there is a computer in here. The original build did have a desk, but it did not have a computer because y'all, computers are expensive in The Sims. Like there was no way that I was going to fit that in there. I guess maybe that's a challenge in and of itself, is actually like including those items in your build. So maybe that's, another challenge I could take on. I don't put a ton of clutter in here. I try to keep it a little like cleaner and a little less cluttered, which I feel like is not necessarily my norm. Oh, and those are the panels that I was talking about earlier that I just couldn't remember the name of. And I think later on I lighten those up. I think actually maybe at the end of the build, Like, I don't even know if I recorded it. Like, it was just a random thing that I did change. So if you notice that in the screenshots. And I also used the reshade when I took the screenshot, so if it looks a little bit different, that's why, because honestly I just love that reshade. But when I am streaming, for some reason my computer is like, no, you either can have a face cam or you can have this reshade, like you have to pick. So I pick a face cam instead of the reshade, but I still use it with the screenshots because I just feel like it looks very lovely. And I don't know why that particular like reshade does that, but you know, whatever, it's fine. And so I did a lot of wood tones in here and a lot of this like light ivory color. And then, like I said, we do bring in the blush and some of those pink tones, actually because of this carpet. I know, I feel like I say that all the time, like, oh, well, I found this carpet, so that changed the whole build. But I really liked the way it looked and it took this build in a really nice direction. And then I ended up using just a column to help separate that living room and the dining room space. And this is a like 2-person house. I feel like, I mean, you might be able to add in some more room. Off the top of my head, I feel like it might be a little bit difficult, but of course you can download this off the gallery. It is already up, and do whatever you want with it. If you want to edit it, gut it, do whatever you want. If you just want to use it as basically a template, go for it. Like that. Totally do whatever you want to with this home. And I don't exactly know what these Sims would do for a living. I honestly didn't think about it too much. And I honestly used a lot of stuff, I feel like, from the Desert Luxe kit as well as Snowy Escape. So that, why do I always call a fireplace a chimney? Like, I wanted to do it again. That fireplace is from Snowy Escape. And that kind of started that Snowy Escape vibe. But honestly, I think it fit really well here in this home. And just trying to keep this really soft and cozy, honestly. I didn't want it to come off being like too modern or cold. And then to like give it a little nod to the original of this home, I did use that bookcase. I think we used it as like a room divider since it's super cheap. I forgot exactly how much it costs, but it is very cheap. And I had thought about using the same furniture from the original, but I do swap it out. I do upgrade it a little bit and use a different couch than the one you see there. And yeah, I use that one again from Desert Luxe. I feel like somehow like the Desert Luxe kit and the Snowy Escape worked really well together. Ironically, since you're talking about really cold and really hot in terms of like where I guess you would think about using those packs, but I just felt like it was really cozy. I love that chair having both a plain swatch and a swatch that has the like blanket on it. Like it looks so nice. I wish we had more items that did that. Like we had both versions because that looks so nice. I'm so glad I didn't need to use like the blanket twice, you know? I feel like you don't necessarily have like a blanket over both chairs normally, but I don't know, at least maybe that's just for me. And then of course using those lovely curtains from the Desert Luxe kit, and then just putting in the little office area underneath the stairs. Like I put in a bookcase here as well, and I put the like thing on the wall that's got like the diplomas and everything. I think that was from the high school pack, and this desk is actually from the high school pack as well, and I think that's the one I used in the original build. So again, trying to use some of those again since this is supposed to be a remodel, and I didn't want it to look like insanely different. I mean, it looks pretty different, but you can tell that it was kind of the same build. And then I actually used that big like bookcase organizer thing from Snowy Escape over in the corner. I figured that's a nice entrance space. Like maybe they put like shoes over there, or like just things that they put down when they come in from outside. That was the most awkward sentence I think I've ever said in my life. When they come in, they put their stuff down on that cabinet. Like, there we go. That sounds a lot better. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with me. It's actually been a little bit since I did a voiceover, and I say a little bit like a week because I was actually ahead, and I do have some like live building like videos going up on the channel, so I was editing those instead of doing voiceovers. So I don't know, maybe I just like forgot how to do a voiceover. Like, I don't even know. And be sure to check out that video that was posted for the 100 items. That was for my 100 sub video, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So be sure to check that out. And also be sure to check out the inverted color build that is also recently posted on the channel if you're interested in seeing me struggle through that, especially since the recording messed up, and so you can actually see color, but I couldn't. I don't know why. I usually do a test recording, but I guess I didn't that time, so I went to go edit and I was like, oh, look, the film doesn't actually have the inverted colors on it. So anyways, you can laugh at me the whole time while I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. But anyways, back to this build. So for this bathroom, I knew I wanted a double sink, and I knew I wanted a bathtub like under that window. Like, that was just so perfect. Like, I really, really wanted that. So basically I based the whole bathroom around the fact that I wanted a double sink and a bathtub in front of the window. Like, it just, you can see I'm messing around here, and because I also wanted a shower in here. I wanted a lot out of this bathroom space. Like I was asking a lot, but we did manage to squeeze everything in. And honestly, I really love the way it turned out. It looks really lovely in here. And I end up putting like an organizer over like off to the side. So I figured that's where they like store like towels and all of that kind of good stuff over there. And then just placing down some clutter on the counters over there. And then just adding in a robe and some towels and things like that, just to make this space kind of really come together. And then of course adding in a rug because I can't help myself. And I will say that plant looks so cool from the outside of the build. Like, it's like inside the window and you can see it from the front of the house. Like, I really love the way that looks. Like, I want to do it again, like in another build. And you can see here, like on the two sides, that you can see down into the build, which on the left, you can see down into the dining and living room, which is really cool. But I realized that on the right side, you see down into the butler's pantry and the bathroom. So that's a little bit awkward. So I do end up actually sealing that off and kind of like giving that like a floor. So you can't actually see down into the bathroom because I just felt like that was weird. But we do end up actually making that like a little garden thing, and it looks so cool. Like, again, something I feel like I want to do more often. Like, it looked so amazing, like from the road and from the inside too. Like, I end up putting a couch, and so they can actually see out onto that like garden space. Yeah, realistically, I have no idea how you'd actually take care of those plants, but it's a sim, so we don't have to worry about it. So you can just enjoy those plants and not ever have to think about it. And so I do end up having a little bit of trouble here trying to figure out how I wanted to organize this space, because I knew I wanted a couch area up there as well as having an actual dresser. But I end up putting a dresser up against like that glass railing for the stairs, and then I actually end up using like the sectional sofa and piecing it together, which I think came out really nicely, especially because I got to use the same color that was in like the bed since they came from the same pack, which I think turned out really nicely. And then like definitely creating this kind of custom look over here, and then using the Desert Luxe kit end table over there, which just looks so cool. And I learned while I was taking screenshots that stuff can actually clip down in the bottom. That little like nook thing that's cut out of it, stuff actually goes there. Like, I had no idea that that was like a thing. And so I'm just adding in like some like what I consider to be blankets and like a pillow, even though it's really just like a poof. And then just adding a few things here to this dresser. And then I think we're going to be headed to that garden space, which, like I said, I thought was absolutely just so much fun and so cool. Like, I was so excited when I was building. I was like, ooh, what do I add? What should I put? What more do I need, in this space? Like, talking to my Twitch chat, and so they gave me a lot of good feedback. And I do end up using, I think it's from Spa Day, one of their like wall fountain things up against the window, so it kind of looks like there's like water when you're like actually in live mode, which I think looked really cool. And it's actually kind of funny. So in case you haven't been to my Twitch chat, my mom actually comes and hangs out. So if you ever want to say hello to my mom, she's there a lot of times. And lately she's been really into fountains, so she's like, you should add a fountain. So that was actually her idea. She was actually on fire the whole time like we were doing this. She had so many amazing ideas. Like, we end up putting in this really gorgeous pergola out on the back patio, and it looks so cool. And that was totally her. She was like, add a pergola, add curtains to the pergola, put stuff on top of the pergola. Like, she was like, I mean, honestly though, it looks amazing out there, to be honest. I really like that backyard. Is maybe one of my favorites. And again, I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. I'm like, this is my favorite, this is my favorite. But it ended up looking really cool, and that was me just trying to find rocks that would fit, because I had actually just downloaded Better Build By, which is a mod which like organizes debug and allows you to actually sort through it more easily. So I was getting used to it and how to get it to work, and so I was looking for rocks, and I ended up with like the huge rocks that are in debug instead of the smaller rocks that usually come with, you know, the packs. And so here I'm just adding in like a walkway, and then we do put in a driveway here as well, and just like what I consider kind of to be stepping stones between the two. And then I do actually change the color of the grass here. And so if you download this, there's probably a good chance that it doesn't stay, because it's The Sims, and I feel like every time even I leave my game and come back, my terrain disappears. So if you place this slot, it might not be there, so I do apologize for that, but I did try my best. I did what I could. And actually thinking about it, I know that it deleted like the dirt that I put out there, so I put that back, but for my screenshots, but I don't know if I actually remembered to change the grass back. So actually the grass may look different in the screenshots. I'm just thinking about it now as I'm like watching this back. Because I don't, like I said, I don't know why like The Sims does that, but I wish it didn't, or I wish that would be something they would fix. I feel like it's really frustrating for builders or people that download builds off the gallery or expect things to look a certain way and they don't. And that's not the fault of the builder, but instead just like The Sims not doing what you're expecting it to do. And we do end up putting a pool in the backyard as well. And it actually ends up being like a longer like lap pool over on the side there. And I think it actually looks really cool and like works really well with this space. And we end up bringing a lot of those like darker tones and some of those lighter woods, and using a lot of the Desert Luxe kit out here. And in case you didn't know, depending on what packs you have, you can actually change the color of the pool. And I only say that because like I forget sometimes, but it looks so much better. Like if you change it, I can't remember, I think it maybe Get Together is the one that has this really pretty like water swatch. That sounds ridiculous, but I know there's like different ones that kind of look more swampy or have like leaves in it, that kind of thing. So in case you didn't know, that is something you could do to really change the way your pools look. And I think I want to say it applies to ponds too, but don't hold me to that if I'm wrong. And so at this point, we're just trying to figure out how to lay out the rest of this patio. So really this is a really swanky, like outdoor entertaining space they have out here. And so we end up putting like a grill and a big fireplace out here, some lounge chairs. And then at this point, my mom is like, oh yeah, you definitely need to put a pergola over the dining space, which actually helped a lot and helped define that space there, because it kind of just was like floating there. And in case you didn't know how to build one of these, you just put down some columns, and then you put down like basically a roof, and then you can use fencing to draw in whatever like pattern you want, and then you can just delete out that flooring. And then we ended up adding in some curtains as well. Like it reminded me of stuff you would see like at Lowe's or Home Depot, or just like a, you know, I don't know, hardware store. That was like, the word is escaping me. A hardware store, and they have like all this outdoor furniture, and they always have these beautiful pergolas with curtains and everything. So we're channeling that because I can't afford to buy one of those. We're just going to build it in The Sims. And so it actually ends up, it just looks so lovely out here. We end up actually putting in a light and a fan too underneath the pergola, which is also another perk of having a pergola or something like that, is that it looks more natural when you try to hang lights and that kind of thing, because it actually has somewhere to hang from. And I'm basically just stealing some of the foliage I put up in that little like secret garden and putting it all over everywhere. So that's why I had to remove that piece so I could actually get get to all of those bushes and flowers and stuff. So putting a little decoration out here, but that's about it that I put out in the front, because I still wanted it to be a pretty clean design, looking a little bit modern. And then we end up just adding a few finishing touches out here. I think we've got some more like foliage to put on top. My mom was like, no, you need more. It needs to be fully covered. You've got to like fix that. Like you need more up there. So I end up putting more, and then again, just kind of like some of these nice details. And we do end up kind of creating our own like potted plant areas over here. You can see I'm kind of deleting some space out and just kind of creating my own little planter boxes and just grabbing some flowers that I used elsewhere to put in those. And both of those I believe are from Debug. I want to say they're from Country Living, I think. That pack actually has a lot of good like vegetation, so if you're looking for some, I would definitely check out Cottage Living Debug. And then just adding in again some lighting to make sure there's enough lighting out here, because that is one of my things. I want to make sure you can see outside and that your Sims can see outside while you are playing. And then at this point we are getting near the end of this video. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment about any suggestions you have. And also be sure to stick around for the screenshots, because honestly, they just look lovely and it's my favorite part. So I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.